Hello chess fans, this is Rick from Chess to Impress. Norway Chess is upon us. The strongest tournament of the year, well at least the strongest 10-player tournament of the year, will start on Sunday, May the 27th, and I am planning to do daily videos on the event. It is the 6th time that the event is held. Of course, it all started with Magnus Carlsen rising to the top. That got sponsors interested in Norway and made the event possible. The first two editions in 2013 and 2014 were won by Sergei Karyakin. Topalov won in 2015, and it was only in 2016 that the home favorite Magnus Carlsen won the tournament for the first time. Last year in 2017 it was Levon Aronian, and Carlsen ended in second to last place that time. It will start on May the 27th and it will be finished on June the 8th. And these are the 10 participants. Magnus Carlsen is the world champion and the highest rated player. He plays, of course. Fabiano Caruana is there, Magnus Carlsen's challenger later this year for the world title. Shahryar Mamedyarov plays in Norway for the first time. Dingley Ren is there, and Maxime Vacher-Lagrave, the French genius. Sergei Karyakin, the previous challenger for the world title. And two more US giants, Wesley So and Hikaru Nakamura. Last year's winner Levon Aronian and the previous world champion Viswanathan Anand will also play. These are 10 players of the top 13 in the world if we take the May rating lists. The only 3 players that are missing of the top 13 is Vladimir Kramnik, who's number 4 currently, Anish Giri number 9, and Alexander Grishuk number 11 is also not there. The schedule: Sunday, May 27th, there will be a blitz tournament, and that is really to decide who will have which number in a drawing of lots. And it's quite important because all players want to play 5 times with white and only 4 times with black. So that's what the blitz tournament is about. Then it starts on Monday, May the 28th, and you can see there are a few rest days. And the last round is on Thursday, June the 7th, with a playoff, if necessary, the next day. To kick off the coverage on Chess to Impress, I will show you a game that was played in Norway Chess in 2013 on the 12th of May between Viswanathan Anand, the then world champion with white, and Hikaru Nakamura from the USA with black. It was played in round 4 and Anand played e4 as he mostly always does. e5 from Nakamura, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, a6, bishop a4, knight f6, Anand castled, b5 kicking the bishop back, bishop b3 and bishop c5, the Archangel's variation of the Ruy Lopez, which is one of Anand's favorites when he plays with black. This time it was played with black by Nakamura. c3, d6, d4, bishop drops back, bishop e3, Nakamura castled, knight bd2, rook e8, rook e1, and now Nakamura played knight a5. It looks for a moment you can win a pawn here with black, but you can't. You could have taken on d4 instead. C takes d4, and then this pawn on e4 is only protected once by the knight and is attacked twice by 2 black pieces. But knight takes e4 is a blunder because of knight takes e4, rook takes e4, and then bishop d5, a bishop fork. The knight is unprotected and the rook is attacked, and white will be material here. So after rook e1 you cannot win a pawn on d4. Knight a5 was played by Nakamura, the bishop dropped back to c2, and here bishop b7 had been played before, and then d5, but Nakamura had prepared c5 in this position, a new move in 2013. Anand took the pawn, and in this analysis I'm using the analysis from the game in the magazine New in Chess, and also from Grandmaster Gilberto Milos on ChessBase. And it was the commentary in New in Chess who said it's hard to believe that this can be the critical test of the black setup, taking that pawn on c5. Nakamura took back, queen e2, knight g4, knight f1 to be able to take back with the knight on e3. If the knight would take that bishop, bishop e6, and now Anand plays the same maneuver with his knight, knight g5, attacking that bishop on e6. Nakamura took on e3, Anand took on e6, and here, a slightly surprising move, Nakamura took back with the f-pawn. The control of the central squares compensates for the weakness of the pawn structure. Nakamura is preventing Anand to get access to the d5 square. Knight takes e3 from Anand and c4. One of Black's goals in this game is to put pressure on f2 with this beautiful bishop and the half open f-line, and we'll see that in the game. Queen h5 from Anand, queen c7, knight g4 and rook f8. Nakamura is not worried about losing the e5 pawn, as we'll see, and we'll see some variations where white takes on e5. Rook e2 was played to overprotect the f-pawn. Rook a d8. Black's pieces are very active, and he can improve them even further by bringing this knight, which is offside, to the d3 square. A long route, but we'll finally see that knight appear on that square later in the game. Here Anand played rook d1. Taking on e5 instead, taking that pawn, which is not protected well enough, is not good. If you take it with the knight, then there is queen c5, and Black is winning here already. This knight is pinned, and there is a lot of pressure against the f2 pawn. Winning position for Black already. So taking with the knight on e5 is not good. What about taking with the queen on e5? That's also not good, because of queen takes e5, knight takes e5, and here comes a nice shot, rook takes f2. If you take the rook, then there is rook d2. This rook is pinned, and this is also much better for Black. So after rook a d8, you cannot take on e5. g3 followed by king g2 was a variation given in the analysis. But as said, Anand played rook d1. That rook was taken, Anand took back, and now this f-rook, which is on the beautiful half-open file, putting pressure on f2, switches to d8. And it always strikes me that very strong players have the flexibility to switch, and they know when to do it and when not to do it. And weaker players, like myself, don't have that same feeling. Rook d8, switch back from Nakamura. Bishop c2 and b4. A nice idea. Perhaps not the best one, but it creates problems for white, does Grandmaster Milos right. Knight c6 was the safer option, and the position is about equal. But b4 was played. Indeed a nice idea. We get very nice variations now. Here, believe it or not, the best move, and that's a computer move that is impossible for a human to find, is rook d2. That's the best move. And white is better after that. Black should then continue with knight c6. After rook d2 you cannot take that rook because of checkmate in one move. Queen e8 is checkmate. So rook d2 is the best move here. You can still not take on e5. Let's have a look. If you take with the knight, then there is b3, a takes, c takes, and you cannot go with the attacked bishop to b1 because of rook d1 check and mate on the next move. You still have a move. You can go to d3 because that bishop cannot be taken because of the same checkmate move we saw before, queen e8 checkmate. After bishop d3, there's a nice move for black, which is g6 to deflect the queen from covering the e8 mating square. Then queen g5 and knight c6, and that wins either the knight or the bishop. This knight is attacked twice, only defended by the queen, but the knight has to keep defending the bishop, which is attacked by the rook, so one of those pieces will be lost. So taking on e5 with the knight is not possible. What about taking with the queen on e5 in that position after b4? That's not good either, because queen takes, knight takes, b3 again, a takes, c takes, bishop d3, we saw that, and then bishop c7 also wins a piece for black. The knight is hanging, but the knight has to keep protecting the bishop and white cannot solve both problems at the same time. So taking on e5 is not good. So back to the game. After the move b4, Anand didn't find rook d2, he played c takes b4. Knight c6. Finally, the knight is defending the e5 pawn, but the knight has more ambitious plans than defending that pawn. Bishop a4 from Anand. Nakamura took on b4. Now white can take on e5. Anand took with the queen. Nakamura does not want to swap queens, he played queen e7. Queen back to h5. And now knight takes a2. Nakamura is taking the time to restore the material balance. And also here, I always find that strong players seem to know when they have time to take a pawn like this. If you and I take the time, something will go wrong somewhere. And we find out we should have played knight d3 straight away. Nakamura evaluates the position much better and sees that he has time to restore the material balance. Here, knight e5 was the best move, and the position remains unclear according to the analysis from the grandmasters. But Anand played g3 here instead, and Grandmaster Milos thinks that this is probably the decisive mistake from Anand. Nakamura brings his knight back, knight c1, attacking the rook, rook c2, and knight d3. Now look at black's pieces. They are all participating and coordinating very well, while white's pieces are disconnected. White has two pieces here on the king side and two pieces here on the queen side. They are not coordinating well. All black's pieces are working together beautifully. This is a very instructive game. e5 was played by Anand, and Nakamura switched his rook back to the f-file. Rook takes c4, and there comes the first shot. Bishop takes f2 check. Taking the bishop is not good. Knight takes f2 runs into queen a7. The knight is pinned and attacked 3 times. Queen e2 is really the only move, but then there is rook takes f2 and black wins decisive material. So that's not good after bishop takes f2 check, and Anand played king g2. Bishop back to c5. Bishop c6. And now a beautiful move again from Nakamura. Rook f5 hitting the queen. There's really only 2 moves. You could play queen e8 check, which Anand did not play. Then the queens get swapped. And now black has the very nice move, king f8. Attacking the bishop to deflect the bishop from covering the h5 square. If you go back with the bishop, then you get checkmated. Knight e1 check. If you go to h3, there is rook h5 checkmate. And if you go to h1, the only other option, there is rook f1 checkmate. The knight takes the g2 square away. Beautiful. After rook f5, Anand did not play queen e8 check. He played his queen back to h4. And Nakamura's play here is really impressive. Knight e1 check. You cannot go to h1 because of the checkmate that we just saw. So Anand went to h3 with his king. But now another magical move from Nakamura. Queen e7 to f7. Controlling the h5 square so that rook h5 is possible, and controlling the f1 square. The main threat is rook h5 to win the queen. If you give a check, then black interposes the bishop and black is winning. Anand decided to take on c5, he saw that he was going to lose his queen and was hoping to get some material for it. Rook h5 and bishop g2. And black still has to be careful. White is threatening queen c8, and then all you can do is interpose your own queen, so then white wins black's queen. But Nakamura, of course, saw that. He took on h4 first with check, took the queen, g takes, and then queen f5. Pinning the knight, and rook c8 would just be a check. The king can then go to f7. The threat is h5. h5 will be coming, winning the knight, and after king g3, black will win the bishop. Let's have a look. If you play king g3 to unpin the knight, then there is queen d3 check, king f2, and queen d2 check. King f1, knight takes g2, and this is too much material up for black. After queen f5, Anand resigned. And I found an interesting statistic on ChessBase, on the ChessBase website, that at that time there were only 2 players in the world who had positive scores against Anand. One was Garry Kasparov and the other one was Hikaru Nakamura. Nakamura finished the tournament in 3rd place. Anand became 6th. And as said, the tournament was won by Sergei Karyakin back in 2013. Hope you enjoyed this video and that you will follow Norway Chess 2018 with me. As I said, I'm planning to do daily videos on each round. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe to the Chess to Impress channel. Please leave a comment, I will read them all and I will reply to them all. You also may want to check out my Chess to Progress channel. The link is in the description box. One of the things I do there is analyze viewers' games. I've done over 60 of them so far. This is Rick for Chess to Impress. Thank you for watching.